Hello, this is Johan. I want to welcome the Kingdom Lifestyle Podcast. This is where we talk about lifestyle with Jesus Christ and having a thriving life through His teaching and His value. Today, I have a close friend of mine. His name is John Ban. Those who don't know him, John Ban is actively serving at YNCC. Right now, he's doing a sound mixer for worship. He has a DJ background and many other musical background as well, so he's using that gift. But right now, outside of his church, he's also an entrepreneur, doing some big project actually, a multi-million project that is releasing some national wide drinks that is going to be hitting the market of major places. And so, but I wanted to just to talk to him and pick his brain about like that what his spirituality and the lifestyle that he's pursuing with Jesus Christ. And because when I hang out with John Ban, is that even my different personality that I come out in different times, but with the John Ban, I always feel the joy because he's always oozing out the joy, and I think that is the strongest personality trait that John Ban has, and I'm actually getting a lot that off of him, and every time he talked to other people as well that I kind of eavesdrop, and he's always life giving, and I could tell because he's also applying that his way he talks and way he put his minds at is that's how he actually live his life and through his work and his daily life. I'm sure he has his own issues, but there are a lot of things that I'm kind of like talk to him and be a spiritual brother as a accountability. So I just wanted to welcome John Ban, and let's see, we're going to hear his stories about his life, that kingdom lifestyle that he has. Okay, here we go. Well, welcome, John Ban.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Johan.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to start off with maybe a little more background. So could you tell us your little background, where you're from, and when did you come to LA, and what you're doing here now?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's in the Midwest. Um, wasn't very much of an Asian community out there when I grew up, so really didn't have Asian influence on my life. And so, I grew up there, became a DJ at about age 16. And at that time, was not many DJs at the time. And so, you know, um, really developed myself as a DJ, became very known as a DJ, ended up on the commercial hip hop station in Indianapolis. DJ there for about 10 years and did all the club scene and, really established myself as a DJ. And then I moved to Los Angeles in 2007 to pursue music as a rap artist. But, at that time was just really tough economical time. The recession was hitting really hard. And so I was in Los Angeles, couldn't really find any work, couldn't find a job. And so I kept pursuing music, was a starving artist till about 2010. I decided to move back to Indianapolis to start the first food truck in that city.
Hmm.
And through that, God gave me a lot of favor, made it very successful. I created 2 food trucks and sold those. And then moved back out to Los Angeles in 2014 after selling my businesses.
Hmm.
And now I started a new business called Grass Fed Coffee, which is a ready-to-drink coffee product that we're now manufacturing and releasing.
Hmm. That's cool. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we even though I didn't see him that often. Like we didn't see each other very often. That in the beginning when you first came to LA, as a DJ for an event company that I was working for, and then you were doing it together, and then you come back and doing this grass-fed coffee after probably it's been 5 years
Yeah.
after kind of thing, and then. When you tell me about a story, I didn't mean to like kind of fact check on you, but I did Google you, and then I was like, oh wow, if that would have been cool, then So I kind of didn't think much about it, and then I Googled John Bon DJ Sonic, and then matter of fact, there's quite a stuff came out. Yeah, when I Google myself, I don't see much stuff, so yeah, which tells a lot. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of interesting to see like the progress that I haven't seen in for a while. It's like kind of made progress here. So, oh yeah. Okay, so I wanted to see just I mean, since it's the topic is the kingdom lifestyle. What kind of encounter did you have during your journey, being being totally, didn't have any money or any
Mhm.
fame kind of thing, and then moving to the places where you kind of established, and then I mean, what kind of work that God did toward while you were going through all this journey? Yeah,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, so when I came out, so basically, I was raised in a Christian home, and always believed in Jesus, always believed in God, but I wasn't really walking with God. I wasn't living by His standards, and I just kind of did whatever I wanted. And so, in Indianapolis, I established myself. Had quite a reputation as a DJ. Was well known, made good money. And so when I came to Los Angeles, it was basically starting all over. And like I said, the recession was hitting really hard around that time.
Mm,
So, I really couldn't find any work. I have a college degree and I couldn't find a job anywhere.
mm,
Um, Money was, oh man, I didn't have any money coming in. There, a lot of times I was hungry all the time. So, any money I got, I would just buy bread and lunch meat. And really I would survive off lunch meat and, eggs because they're really cheap. So every day I'm eating the same thing,
yeah.
with no money. And so it was that first time in LA from 2007 to 2010. It was just a really humbling time. It was a very difficult time, and I wouldn't even say I was truly walking with the Lord at that time. But looking back, I see during that time He was making me mentally tough, making me resilient, giving me that survivor's mentality.
Mm,
And so, looking back now, I'm thankful for that time. I don't want to go through it again, but
mm,
I'm very thankful for it. It made
uh,
me very mentally tough, where I know I can always trust on God and I can survive any situation.
okay.
Mhm.
That's good. I guess every time that I meet a Christian who's like really like enthusiastic about the Lord, um, and then I have to use discernment to ask this question because sometimes people do get offended.
Mhm.
But I feel so safe asking you this question is like, how did you meet God?
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, that's So like I said, I grew up in a Christian home, but I wasn't really having any of these you know, God encounters, experiencing God in a very, tangible way,
Mhm.
the way the Bible explains that
Mhm.
how we should have. And so the second time I came out to LA, 2014, I was just kind of, I wasn't walking with the Lord. I believed in Jesus, I believed in God, but I was on my own program, doing what I like to do, living in sin, partying, fornicating, and just doing what I wanted to do,
Mm,
right? Feeding my flesh, and really no regard for what God, how He wanted me to live.
mm,
And so I was just partying every night. I just got to LA, had money in my pocket. I'm going out all the time, just hooking up with girls left and right, and it became a very became an addiction. I would
mm,
say it became addiction. I was going out 4 to 5 nights a week, always just going out to hook up with girls and bring them back home.
mm,
And then I noticed I got to a point where I couldn't even stop when I wanted to. I was like, man, this is not a healthy lifestyle. So I tried to stop going out, but I couldn't.
mm.
And then one fateful day, I tore my Achilles.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so now I'm forced to stay at home now. I can't go out and party when I want to. I'm forced to stay on the couch. I can't walk.
Mm.
So I was on the couch for about 3 months, and then
I remember you had the handicap decals, so we can park in
yeah,
the like really close. So
right,
there was a quite a bit of perks.
yeah,
But I'm
right,
sure the rest of it was really painful.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So about that time, I discovered Jefferson Young
Hmm.
Knock, and I
Uh-huh.
started showing up, and then that's when I actually ran into you. Uh,
Yeah, I guess the funny part that I wanted to kind of like have the listeners understand
mhm,
is that, yeah, it was kind of strange because it was more like kind of like foggy dreams slash thoughts, because it's like I don't know whatever you want to call it, relapse of memory or whatever, but I thought about Jamban, and because back there wasn't more than about 5 years
mhm,
ago, and so you don't remember all the people's names, even though it's common as Jamban. But I was like, whoa, I wonder what that guy's doing. And I was like, what was his name? And then I was like, John Bond. That's right, that was his name. Yeah, he's all the way in the Midwest, and then so. But yeah, first thing that week, I don't know how many days went by, but like that Sunday, I was walking around, and then I saw John Ban sitting there, and I was like, John Ban, and he looked at me like, whoa, it was like he's like it was kind of middle of nowhere, and
Yeah.
I didn't even look at his face. I saw just the shapes of like who he was, So yeah, that's how we met at the second time,
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
like the first time, we had worked together, right? So
Mhm.
we knew each other, but we weren't like close friends. We didn't really know each other on that level, So
Mhm.
yeah, for you to even remember my name after so many years. But yeah, so I ran into Johan again when I went to this church, Jefferson.
Mhm.
Still was trying to recover from my Achilles tear. But I was kind of just limping around,
Mhm.
and Johan actually invited me to help him with this the Skid Row ministry.
Mhm.
And so, I came out that afternoon to the Skid Row ministry, basically where they would, you know, feed the homeless, give them some cookies and coffee, and then put on a worship service and also have a pastor come and do a
Right.
sermon.
Yeah.
And so, Johan threw me on the soundboard to run sound for the worship team. And so, I did that. I enjoyed it.
Mm.
And so, I started coming out weekly to this Skid Row ministry on every Sunday. Same process, feed the homeless, put a worship service and sermon for them, and give them some food when they leave. I do this for a few weeks, and it was very interesting. It happened, during this time, I was completely unfamiliar with the prophetic. I was very unfamiliar with
Mm.
the spiritual realm in general.
Mm.
I was just really starting to try to reconnect with God again.
Mm.
And it was during that time when I believe the event was called Azusa Now. It was a big event in Los Angeles, which I didn't know anything about Azusa Now, and Bethel had a team down during that time for Azusa Now,
Mhm.
and they actually came out to the Skid Row ministry that Sunday.
Mm.
And you got to remember, at this point, I know nothing about Bethel. I don't know anything about the prophetic. I don't know,
Mhm.
anything basically. And there was this young girl, my guess maybe 19 years old, young little Swedish girl. She
Mhm.
comes up to me very timidly, very not very confident. It seemed like, and she's like, "Excuse me, sir, are you in business?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Mm.
And then she closes her eyes. I can see she's trying to like concentrate on something, and then she very like insecure. She's like, "Coffee business?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am in the coffee business." Now she's getting confidence and excited. She's like, "Oh wow, this is great." She's
Mm.
like, "Okay, great. God wants to bless your business, and He's going to give you favor, et cetera, et cetera." She prays for me, goes about her way.
Mm.
So I'm there like, what just happened?
Mm.
What
Oh,
was this all
yeah.
about? And so I'm kind of thinking about this, processing this in my head, and then I'm thinking about this over the next 2 weeks. Like, what was that? What the heck was that?
Mm. Mm.
And that same week, my friend invited me to go check out a prophetic speaker named Luke Holter.
Mm.
And so we go up there, and then actually you were with us. It was you, two other friends. We went up there,
Uh-huh.
and we listened to this guy speaking, Luke Holter. He's kind of giving his testimony, and then he starts picking people from the crowd and prophesying over them.
Mm.
And I'm still unfamiliar with this whole, aspect of, God.
Mm.
And so I'm like, what is going on? I'm seeing how people are being so touched by what he's saying.
Mm.
And then afterwards, the event's over. We're about to leave.
Mhm.
And then Johan was like, "Hey, let's at least go back inside and, say bye to him and ask if we can pray for him."
That's right.
So we go back in, and we're waiting in line to talk to him. Finally, we get up to the front to him, and then, yeah, and Johan's like, "Hey, Luke, thanks for coming out. Can we pray for you?"
Mm.
And then Luke's like, "Oh, you're not going to pray for me. I want to pray for this guy." And then he pointed to our other friend.
Mhm.
But when he started praying for me, he started saying everything that girl told me 2 weeks before, but even more in depth.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I'm like, what in the world is going on?
They call it confirmation, right? But
Yeah.
same thing happens twice, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, after that, I was like, whoa, God is really paying attention to my life. He really knows me.
Mm-hmm.
He cares about me. He has great plans for me.
Mm.
And so, I kept getting these prophetic words after that as well, all same word,
Mm-hmm.
confirming these things. And so it was at that point that I fully surrendered to Jesus. And I was like, you know what? God clearly is a good God. He has a great plan for my life. Let me just surrender what I'm trying to do with my life and put it in His hands. And at that point, I really started walking with the Lord.
Wow. Yeah, so yeah, the funny thing is, like, I mean, I was walking all that through with the Jamban as well, but I just assumed that he was already, had a long years of this walking with God. But it seems like I was actually there to witness,
Yeah.
the transformation. And yeah, it was a kind of exciting time.
Mhm.
It was very exciting
Yeah.
time for us to um, go through that experience. Yeah. So I mean, so now, like, what you found the God, and then you now use. I mean, I'm sure there was a time that you were really like busy with just discovering Him. I know it hasn't been that long, but now I feel like you're sharing with some of us how you are daily routine to experience God and meet God, and then keeping the maintain a healthy way, uh, you know with him is, yeah. Could you explain that about that? I think you called it like the secret place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So during that, so after these encounters, these powerful God encounters I was having, um, it put this hunger inside of me. Like, oh wow, number one, God is real. Number two,
Mm,
God is involved with our lives. So this hunger was inside. I was like, wow, I want to discover more about God.
mhm,
So I started watching as many sermons as I could on YouTube. I always had worship music playing in my apartment. I was wanting to be have my mind on God as much as I could throughout the day.
mm,
And so, this is just the process that was happening. And then, so as I kept doing this every day, just always trying to have as soon as I wake up, I try to have my mind on God.
mm,
And I just was kind of, I guess, naturally doing this.
mhm,
And then, so as I kept doing this, and months go by, I'm just absorbing as much. I'm learning as much as I can through YouTube sermons, all these different pastors and prophetic speakers. And I come to find out that what I was doing is actually called the secret place.
mm.
I was like, oh wow, I was doing secret places before I even knew what it was called. And so,
Yeah, I read it about somewhere in the Bible, like Psalm 41, talking about this.
91, yeah.
Psalm
Mm-hmm.
91 that talk about the secret place that, yeah, we need where we're meeting God is. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I wasn't sure if it was a kind of made a term from the Christian community,
Mm-hmm.
or it was actually quote unquote from the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I read up on that and was like, it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, the secret place is where, I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I was cultivating the secret place with God
Mm-hmm.
every day. And so through that, that's where God just really started teaching me and speaking to me on a one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
basis, and like it's been, over the past 3.5 years, it's been such an amazing journey of just discovery
Mm-hmm.
of God, of myself, and just really creating an intimate relationship with Jesus. So it's been a very special time for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Your I know there's much more to it. There's a lot of stories there's left to talk about. But I were more focusing on his journey and how his transformation. Um, yeah, and then we're like, as a friend, and then in the community, we're having so much fun together. We're going to we're planning on mission trip, and then also in the lobby talk with the other brother and sisters that how we can battle our challenges spiritually. Seeking God instead of just seeking the worldly solution. So
Yeah.
yeah, I try not to bubble up the John Bond's like a profile, but this guy has been really like somewhat a leader of around the community, and also people ask him about his fitness secrets, because you can tell that's another thing. But now he was using it for like his own goods. Now he's, but I think now in the end, all glories to God that we want to do. So. Appreciate you sharing. I just wanted to end with a podcast and a little prayer. And yeah, we just thanks for listening out, and maybe I can bring him back for another episode of like a little more other details. Like for example, would be like John Bond's father's. He's a missionary, and there's a lot of things has been done as well too. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right,
Awesome.
let's pray. Um, Heavenly Father, thank you for this podcast, the Lord, that we ask to bless us, and then that bless all the listeners that hearing these words, Lord. That these words is not just another personal story, but we should hear them as the kingdom of your work in our life, Lord. So, Lord, if you allow, Lord, to transform the people that who has a similar background as John Ba, who can actually empathize what John has been going through, Lord. Lord, that we just want to keep thriving. And strive for your works in our lives, Lord. And so, Lord, help us to keep our eyes open and minds open for your love, Lord. Thank you. We pray in Jesus Christ's name.
Amen.
Amen.